The Crows are delighted with their first pick at number 10. They rated Patrick Dangerfield the third best player in the draft.
And takes off. Almost run down by Hill.
Keep going.
There's no one in the square. This would be remarkable if he kicks it from 50. Keeps it low.
Unbelievable.
It is crazy good.
Signed and sealed today, Patrick Dangerfield was finally delivered.
It will be nice to put on that Guernsey.
Goes down to the kick-off line. Oh, my goodness. Dangerfield.
Declare the winner of the 2016 Brownlow Medal, Patrick Dangerfield of the Geelong Football Club.
Hawthorn have won. Hawthorn are into the grand final.
Sydney are winners. They're into the grand final.
Adelaide are in the grand final. The Tigers get to a second grand final in 3 seasons.
Patrick Dangerfield is an individual absolute champion of the game, and he's gone oh so close in the team aspect as well. This year, he can mount a charge with his Geelong Cats to win his first premiership, but it's going to be such a different season to go through. And he joins us tonight from Moggs Creek, also as president of the AFL Players Association. Paddy, welcome aboard, mate. Have you had your tests today, and what's been going on? And we're inching closer to getting things going.
G'day, Ed. Thanks, guys, for having me. I'm glad you brought up those prelims. That was a great introduction. Just brilliant. I had my COVID test today. That was an experience, but like everyone else, just hoping that footy returns and returns soon.
Patrick, watching those highlights, and they were pretty impressive, I'd sort of almost forgotten what if you've forgotten what a great footballer you are. It's just been so much other stuff you've had to do over the last few months. You must be really looking forward to recapturing that other side of your identity.
Yeah, you can say that again, Caro. It's it's one of those really unique situations that we've all found ourselves in, and you're right, for so many of us, football to a certain stage in your life really is your identity and encapsulates most of it. It's not until you get older and you have kids and you have a bit more perspective on life. But for so many of us, you know, it is footy. That's the be all and end all. And at the moment, you know, it hasn't been around for us. So we can't wait to get back and get into the thick of things.
Hey, Paddy, it's challenging being an AFL footballer, but I want to ask you about the challenge of being the president of the AFL Players Association. What's it been like for you this year, and what's been the toughest aspect of it?
Oh, it's challenging when you have people like you criticising leadership, Mackie.
Yeah. Let's debate that. I did make a point on that. I said that, say for you at the start, you were very resistant to the aspect of hubs initially, which I understand it's not easy for anyone, but those players who are coming and speaking about, when I'm on $50,000 a year, that's all I've got, and this is my livelihood. I was also thinking of those guys, and obviously you as the spokesman were speaking from your perspective, and I wondered who you were speaking for, the player or the actual AFLPA president?
Well, when hubs were first discussed, the amount of players that would go into those was between 30 and 32. So I don't think it's exactly catering for players that are earning $50,000 a year. So I think the devil's in the details. It's not until you actually understand the intricacies of that you really understand what's going on. So I think it is speaking for all until you get the real detail, that it's important to be sceptical until you actually have a firm grasp of what's being put forward.
So, Patrick, at the moment, the negotiation I think you're involved with, I assume, is penalties for players who break COVID restrictions and social distancing. I think it's going to come under the headline of conduct unbecoming if rules are broken. Are you worried what the AFL is proposing might be too draconian?
Oh, well, it's a challenge, Caro. Yeah, and that's something that we're still working through the nitty-gritty detail of that, because everyone has their own different personal circumstances for doing the things that they do. So I don't think it's necessarily a one-size-fits-all. So that's something that we're going to have to continue to work through, and it will be fluid with the AFL. But we've got to make sure that we're not searching to hang players. And in an environment like this, where clearly everyone's been under the pump for a really long period of time, the media and media personalities included, people will be looking for things. So, you know, we've got to make sure it's not a witch hunt to try and find, you know, things that players are doing wrong for, you know, up and coming journalists that are under the pump from, you know, whatever organisation that they work through. And, that they're the challenges that I think we'll face at different stages, but we've just got to make sure that we're abiding by the rules as players and doing it to the best that we possibly can.
I'm sure the media aren't looking for gotcha moments myself, but I know that is a fear among the AFL and the PA. Just on your bodies and what
certainly not everyone, Cara. I'm certainly not pointing the finger at everyone, but I think it'd be folly to suggest that, given how many people cover the game, that those looking for a one-up or an opportunity to get themselves and promote themselves to their bosses, I get it, because everyone's under the pump. There's job losses that we've seen right throughout football departments, and we've seen that right throughout the media as well. So it's just a challenge that we're all going to face.
Paddy, on one of your teammates, your captain actually, Joel Selwood, your initial reaction when you saw the TikTok video, and he's surprised in this that he had to take it down. I'm not setting you up here because I had no issue with it, but others do, particularly on this panel as well. So what was your thoughts on that?
Look, I think, there's some that aren't happy unless they're unhappy. And TikTok, for those ill-informed, it is a platform that is about having fun and taking the mickey out of yourself. What I see is two people having fun in an environment where you're looking for a laugh somewhere. Why do you take it down as a player? You take it down because you get sick. You get sick to death of the vitriol and hate that you cop from the small minority, but the small minority on social media are definitely the most vocal.
You're being asked to put your bodies under a challenge because you might only have 3 weeks of hard physical training, maybe 4. We know the quarters are going to be shorter. Do you think that you should get an extended interchange bench?
I was asked this morning, Caro. Look, my personal view is no. I think with the reduced game length in itself, that's probably enough. But I just wonder whether it's maybe one of those things, if we start and we feel like, and the feedback is, this has been a really difficult build-up from 3 weeks into playing in the first couple of weeks. It's been, over-stressful for players in terms of their physical capabilities. And maybe it's something you could potentially bring in. I'd think to start it sort of as it normally is, with 4 on the bench, but with the potential to, to adjust during the season. There's clearly been a lot of changes already that have happened, and there's some that are really keen for, increases on the interchange, and I certainly understand that. I just look at just how many changes there's been, but maybe it's something that we can look at throughout the season, because it's going to be a season like no other, where we're going to have to be fluid and adjust to, the little hurdles that come our way.
And Paddy, what if the Cats have to go up to the Gold Coast and play Fremantle and West Coast and Brisbane and Gold Coast in maybe one little hub of its own, maybe in the mid-year? Might actually be relaxing and refreshing for you.
Well, I think of the Western Australian players and the South Australian players potentially that'll have to relocate for, far longer than what would be, potentially a month, as you explained it, Ed. So, look, it's an unideal scenario for those players, but we understand it as a playing group. We've got to do our bit in order for the game to return. So it makes sense if you were to go up there and play that you get a few other games out of the way whilst you're there. Then you're reducing the amount of travel that you're doing, and when it comes to the sort of contagion, the spread, and the reducement of risk, I don't think you'd have many objections from clubs.
Good on you, mate. Thank you for joining us tonight, Paddy. Lots to get through there. It's going to be an interesting couple of days. We need to get, looks like West Australia's right, need to get South Australia over the line, and then we can see what we can do from there. And who knows, maybe even if we get closer to time, we might get some fly-in, fly-out into both of those states. In the meantime, fingers crossed for a June 11 start. Thanks for joining us, Patrick Dangerfield from Moggs Creek tonight, the President of the Players Association and out-and-out champion of the Geelong Football Club.